I've generated over $40 million in email revenue for e-commerce brands in the last 5 years. Not by using templates or prompts, but by testing, observing, and iterating on the same proven principles over and over again. What I'm going to share with you in this video are 33 immutable laws. These are the core rules that we never deviate from. The non-negotiables that guarantee that we drive 40 to 50% of clients' total revenue through email month after month and across multiple industries. Think of them like bowling line bumpers. If you stay in them, you'll stay on track, avoid costly mistakes, which I have made many, and scale your email revenue consistently. And so my goal with this video is simple. I want you to walk away with a clear framework, a set of laws you can use to ensure the time and effort that you put building your campaigns and your flows get your emails generating the highest revenue possible. These are the same principles that we have used to turn subscriber lists into multi-million-dollar channels. This will give you clarity on what to build, what to test, what to stop wasting time on. These are the exact things I wish someone has handed me when I started. Now, I'm handing them to you. Let's get into it. The law of intelligence. Here's the thing about great emails. They make readers feel this was made for me. This brand understands me. And this is why this is the first rule. The first step before writing any single email, before designing a single pixel inside an email, is knowing your customers better than they know themselves. For example, what keeps them awake at night? What are their most important motivations? What is the thing that they desire the most? The thing that they want the most? And then on the other hand, what are the things that they are terrified of? What are their insecurities? What exactly they're angry at? What are their values like? What are the enemies? Who are they blaming for the problems? What causes them pain? And this can be physical, emotional, psychological, even spiritual. If we know the answers to those questions, then every single email that we send will resonate. There's no way it doesn't. This is the first law, the law of intelligence. And in simple terms, it means that the brand with the most customer intelligence is going to win. They will be able to create better emails. And so when subscribers are deciding between buying from this brand or this brand, but this one understands them better, this brand will get the sale. This subscriber is going to buy from this brand only. And this brand will lose a potential customer. So the brand who can afford to have the most intelligence about their customers win. Because nowadays it's very simple to write emails using ChatGPT, and in fact most brands are doing exactly that. But because of that, those emails feel just generic. They don't make subscribers feel this was made for me. And so they simply shrug it off, move to the next brand. So great emails start with deep customers understanding, not with copy, not with design. Next we have the law of traffic intent. This is very simple, yet this can make a huge difference in your email sales. And this is understanding where your customers are coming from. If they're coming from Google Ads, the strategy is very different than if they're coming from Meta Ads, from Instagram or from Facebook and so on. Why? Because we have to match the message to their awareness stage. Let me explain. There are 5 stages of awareness that a possible customer goes through before buying a product. And it goes from unaware to most aware. In the unaware stage, like the name says, they aren't even aware that they have a problem. After they become aware that they have a problem, they become problem aware. Now at this stage, they are aware of the problem, but not of possible solutions. After that, they will become aware of possible solutions, but not of possible products that solve that solution. After that, they will become aware of possible solutions, but not of products in that solution. And I will drive this home with an example in just a moment. Finally, they go to the product aware stage. In this level, they are aware of specific products that solve this problem, but they still haven't made up their minds yet. And then finally, there's the most aware stage in which they know they have a problem, they know there are solutions, they found a specific type of product under that solution, and they found a specific brand for that specific product. And they know everything about that product, but they still haven't purchased yet. So let me give you a quick example for, let's say, a teeth whitening product. In the unaware stage, they will know they have white teeth. So this wouldn't be a problem for them. After they become aware that they have a problem, someone mentions, hey, by the way, have you been smoking recently? They become aware of the problem. No, why? Well, because your teeth are yellow. Bam. They become aware of the problem. So the problem is yellow teeth. And then they might just shake it off. Or if they are truly committed to solving this problem because it became an insecurity, they will start looking for solutions. And so they move to the solution aware stage. They might find that there are whitening strips, specific toothpaste, LED treatments, then chemical treatments, and so on. After that, they might do some research and find that for them the best solution are just whitening strips. And so they start looking for actual products. Different brands that sell strips. They might find about brand A, B, C, D. And then after doing more research or hearing good things about any of these, they might move ahead with, let's say, B or C and just leave it there, right? Those are the 5 stages of awareness. And then, of course, our jobs as marketers is to drive someone from the unaware to the most aware stages as fast as possible. So for example, a good VSL, a good video sales letter, might turn someone who's unaware into most aware. It's going to walk them to all of these options. Same for advertorials and so on. Now, the law of traffic intent says we have to match our messages or emails to the awareness stage. So here's an error I see too often. If a brand is acquiring customers to Google Ads, that means people are actively looking for a product in Google. It means they already are past the solution stage and past the problem aware stage. So emails should not tell them that they have yellow teeth and the problem with yellow teeth, or break down some options and so on. They already know that. All of our efforts put into email marketing should be about making our brand stand out against these other brands. That is their strategy. But I've audited hundreds of Klaviyo accounts from big 7, 8, and 9-figure brands, and they all make the same mistake. They do not match their messaging with traffic intent. Let's say, for example, you're acquiring customers through meta ads, so from Instagram, Facebook. Then your traffic, your subscribers might be spread out across problem aware and product aware, right? And so you will need to have a different campaign strategy. But if you are acquiring customers through Google Ads, most of your emails should live here between the product aware and the most aware state. Let me give you an example. One of our clients is a lighting LED lights suppliers. So they say mostly to business, to contractors, but a small percentage to homeowners as well. And so people who land on their website, they do so because they type Philips LED light G9, for example. And there's a tons of other products in Google Shopping, but they click this one, right? And so our jobs as email marketers is get them to realize that buying from us is the best option. Not buying an LED light, not buying a Philips light, but buying from us. We are selling the brand. And so we send an email like this. It says, life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. That, by the way, the only goal of that is to get their attention. We'll get to that in a moment. But then it says, ever feel like your projects need to move to stay on track? Einstein was onto something. It's all about momentum. And we're here to make sure you never need to hit brakes on your project again. Shop with confidence. Head straight to the finish line with Buy Right Electric. At Buy Right Electric, our goal is to ensure you keep moving forward, maintaining balance, and progressing smoothly to your project's finish line. Here's how we do it. Never search for supplies again. Spending time searching for the right supplies can be a drag, taking crucial time away from making actual progress on your project. Say goodbye to that with Buy Right Electric. With us, we just a few clicks away from accessing over 80,000 different lighting SKUs. No matter what you're searching for, you'll find it here. Never wait on supplies again. Not only do you have instant access to a vast selection of lighting supplies right from your phone or computer, but once you click that Order Now button, your new lighting supplies will arrive at your doorstep with near lightning fast speeds. And then we specify on the shipping times. No bumps in the road. If you have any questions or if anything goes astray while you shop with us, feel free to reach us out at. And finally, keep your projects moving forward with Right Electric. So we are selling the brand, and this also ties to the immutable law number 1 of intelligence. Every single point here is an actual pain point that they have. And so what we are conveying with this email is you'll be fine with us. Moving on. The third law, the law of 1%. The top 1% of brands are not just doing twice better than the rest. They are not just generating twice more email revenue than the rest. They're generating 5 times, 8 times, 10 times more revenue than the typical average e-commerce brand. We know that for sure, and I can prove it. Look, if I head over to Klaviyo and I go to analytics, benchmarks, and then campaigns, I will say this. This tells me exactly how we are comparing against our peers right here. These are brands in our same industry and about our same size, so literally our competitors. And Klaviyo tells you exactly how you are comparing against them for the most important metrics. So we have anything from bounce rate, click rate, conversion rates, open rates, to unsubscribe rate, which we don't care much about because we'd rather have people unsubscribe than just be there. But what we care about here is revenue per recipient. How much revenue we are extracting per subscriber. And so in this particular case, for this brand we're managing their Klaviyo account, we're extracting 31 cents per recipient. And the average brand is extracting 12 cents per recipient. So about 3 times less than we are. And that's cool, but we still haven't scaled this brand to their full potential. You can see, if I click here on detailed view, I can see exactly how the top 25% is doing. They're generating 36 cents per recipient, so slightly above us, and how the bottom 25% are doing. They're generating just 3 cents per recipient, so they might be even losing money here. But here's the fun thing. We can assume that this has a normal distribution, like a bell curve like that, meaning there's the average, and then there's people doing really bad and people doing really, really, really good. And if we take it to the extreme, the top 1%, they're doing really, 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 really good. And so I asked ChatGPT to tell me how much revenue per recipient are these top 1% of brands generating. And it's telling me, it's estimating that it's 68 cents. So that is 5, almost 6 times more revenue than the average brand. That is why I want to pay special attention to all upcoming laws, because they will show you how to get into this top 1%. Because email marketing is just not sending emails. It's exactly what happens with running ads. There are good ads, profitable ads with a high return on ad spend that really resonate with people, and so you can scale them. And there are simply bad ads that don't resonate much. And with email, this problem is not as immediate and as visible as it is with ads when you have the return right there. Unless you dig deeper, like we just did, you won't know exactly how well or how bad you're doing with email marketing. So keep this in mind. That is the law of 1%. Next, along the same lines, we have the law of liquidity. And this simply says that a list is not about its size, but about how much cash you can extract from that list. I've seen brands with 50,000 subscribers generate more revenue than brands with 500,000 subscribers. And it's because a list is only as powerful as how ready to buy their subscribers are, or how liquid they are. Just as in business, there are liquid assets that are easier to turn into cash. There are subscriber lists which are easier to turn into cash. On the other hand, there are illiquid lists which are hard to turn into cash. They are unengaged. They are unresponsive. They only buy from discounts and flash sales and so on. So the most important thing is having a liquid list. And again, the upcoming laws will show you exactly how to do that, such as law number 5, the law of familiarity. And this is a simple law, but we often forget about it. It says that we trust what we see more often. So for example, in the gym, right? You go the first time and all people are just randoms, but then you start going. And then by the end of the week, you're kind of familiar with the people that you see at your same time slot that you go train, right? And then by the end of the month, you probably talk with 1 or 2 and so on. And the same happens in marketing. The more frequent you are with your marketing, the more frequent your emails, the more trust you gain. I've seen brands that try to treat their subscriber list like ATM machines, and it doesn't work like that. By the time they go and then say an email because they have to push or move some products, people are uninterested. They don't care anymore about the brand. They probably completely forgot this brand existed and they move to the next one. So that is why I tell everyone they should be sending at least the very minimum 2 to 3 emails a week. At least. I have another video where I explain exactly how many emails you should be sending depending on your list size and your average order value. It's going to be linked somewhere now in the video. But at least, as a rule of thumb, I suggest sending 2 to 3 emails per week. That will help you with your familiarity, and so that will help customers trust you more and feel more at ease buying from you. Then, law number 6, the law of false positives. And going back here to Klaviyo, this is a problem with most email apps, with most email software, like Klaviyo, Omnisend, Sendly, all of those, is that they make you think that all metrics are created equal. In reality, they're not. We can have to have the perfect unsubscribe rate, or we can have to shoot a perfect conversion rate or revenue per recipient. They most often don't go hand by hand. So we have to know what to pay attention to. This also means being aware on whether to trust these platforms with what they think is best, with what's actually best. One example is the smart sending time. Klaviyo has this feature which lets you find the ideal sending time. So if you enable it, the email that you send will be split in 24 slots, and you will go to each slot accordingly, hour by hour. And then you will get something like this. This graph tells you exactly how people and in which time slots people are opening your emails the least and the most. This is fine, right? But remember, false positives. Do we really care about open rates? Or do we care about sales? Because the time in which someone is opening an email is not always the time in which they are in buying mode, ready to buy, or they have time to buy. It's exactly what is happening here. We see, and Klaviyo tells us, the optimal sending time is at 6 a.m., right? Which makes sense based on this graph. But if we dig deeper, we see this other graph that placed order rate changes by hour. So 0.03%, 0.4, 0.1, 0.10, 0.6, 0.5. Okay, so there's a time in which place order rate is actually higher and it's not the optimal sending time. This tells us people are in buying mode here, but they are in opening emails mode here. So based on this, should we trust Klaviyo and send our emails at 6 a.m.? Or should we send them when they are in buying mode? Make sure our emails are at the top of subscribers' inboxes by that time. I will choose that option. That is what we will do. And specifically because open rates stay consistent after that. There's no dip like in here, right? So this will be the optimal sending time for us, not this one, right? Another example of a false positive will be optimizing emails for click rates. So click rates are fine, but it's easy to manufacture high click rates. starting with clickbaity subject lines, then clickbaity call to actions and all of that. But the type of people that we are optimizing for is not the ideal. I would rather take a lower click rate, but a higher conversion rate any day of the week, making sure that the people who do click are those who are ready to buy. So again, this is all about having an end goal in mind, right? Knowing which metrics to trust and not to trust. In line with this, we have Rule 7, the law of size blindness. This is a problem specifically with brands with huge list sizes, that they can get away by sending a bad email or an email with a low conversion rate because they have a big list size. So nevertheless, the email is still going to generate some revenue. And so on paper, when you go into your campaign dashboard and you see it generated some sales, it's going to look fine, right? But you know better now. We already went through this. It could be that if they improve their emails, they could start generating 3 times more sales, 5 times more sales, 6 times more sales, like the top 1%. About the law of size blindness. And again, this is something specifically that happens to brands with huge email lists of 100,000 subscribers and beyond. But now, if you're in this bucket, I show you how to know whether you are suffering from this. Now, in a moment, I'll tell you exactly how to create better emails. Or if you're in any bucket, you need to know what to actually track instead. That is law number 8, the law of the North Star. And like we discussed, revenue per recipient is the only metric that tells the whole truth. Let me tell you why. Like the name says, revenue per recipient is revenue divided by recipients, the number of subscribers who received your email, right? So for example, if you generated $1,000 out of 1,000 recipients, you have a $1 revenue per recipient. Now, another way to calculate revenue is by the number of people who received that email, recipient, times the conversion rate of that email, 1%, 2%, how many people bought from that email, and this gives you a number. Okay, 1,000 people received that email, 1% purchased, and then we're missing the last metric, average order value, how much money they spent on average. So 1,000 people received that email, let's say it's a 1% conversion rate, so 10 people purchased, and let's say average order value is $100. So we get to that same $8,000 that we had before, right? So again, revenue can be represented as recipients times conversion rate times average order value. And at the bottom, we still have recipients. And as you probably realized by now, we can cancel out these recipients at the bottom of the top. And so we can calculate revenue per recipient as conversion rate time average order value. And so with this, email marketing becomes stupidly simple. To increase conversion rate, we have to send better emails. That means emails that resonate better, or we have to have the same emails but make people spend more money because of that. Or ideally, both, so we can combine both improvements. So that's it. That's email marketing. You send better emails and you make sure that those emails are making people spend more money. And in the following rules, I will explain you exactly how to do that. Because when you know, email marketing becomes stupidly simple. And then when you stack a repeatable system that basically ensures that you improve your conversion rate and your average order value, you can do this. You can start ranking exactly what we do with our clients and make sure that with a 10 times higher conversion rate, we start generating 3 times more revenue out of their emails, 5 times more revenue out of their emails. And these laws will also apply to your flows. 8 times higher revenue. These are all clients which we have applied these laws that I'm about to go through. So stay tuned. Now, before we continue, the idea for this video is heavily influenced by this book, The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing by Ulrich and Jack Trout, a must read for any marketer, in my opinion, and any person inside a brand, service, any type of business trying to sell something. All right, moving on to number 9, and it's the law of depth. And it's following that same idea that revenue per recipient should be our North Star. The law of depth says that we don't need more email subscribers. Instead, we first have to learn how to extract more per email subscriber. Because if you can squeeze the maximum revenue out of 1,000 subscribers, then just collecting more subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers, 1,000,000 subscribers, like some of our clients have, it's just going to amplify this inefficiency that you have. So the sooner you learn how to extract as much revenue per subscriber, the faster you will scale, the more money you will generate at the end of the month. And this is something critical. Now, for those of you running ads, you already understand this on the ad level. You don't let a bad ad run, right? You don't scale a bad ad. You don't let Meta spend $1,000, $10,000 on an underperforming ad. So the first thing that we naturally do with ads is find good ads and we scale those, right? We learn how to be more efficient. It's the same thing happening here in email marketing. We first have to learn how to be efficient with our subscriber list. And specifically now that email platforms are getting greedy, like Klaviyo, Omnisense, Sendline, and charging more, we have to learn how to be efficient with the subscribers that we have. No matter where you have 100 subscribers, 1,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, 1,000,000 subscribers. The law of depth tells us to focus on squeezing as much revenue per recipient first. And now, with these first 9 laws covered, these are the foundation, okay? So this will make sure that we both are on the same page, right? If I just keep to the 10th law, you wouldn't get as much value out of this video, okay? So I needed to cover these laws first for your own good. All right, now we'll start moving on more and more into how to actually create high converting emails. Emails with a high revenue per recipient, with a high conversion rate, and that drive a higher average order value. Starting with law number 10, the law of focus. And this is a law that took me a lot of trial and error over 5 years to develop. But it's very simple and super easy to apply it. Now, what most brands do with their email marketing is that they follow what I call the ADHD approach, right? So most likely because they don't have a structured approach to campaigns, they, for example, on Monday send one email promoting product A. On Wednesday, they promote product B. Then on Friday, it's about a blog post that also sells product C. And so the problem with this approach is that it never lets you build enough belief, enough conviction to sell one product alone. Just when someone is starting to internalize that they need to buy product A, you hit them with product B. And so you start a whole sales process from zero. So instead, what we have demonstrated that works best is that every single email that you send during a week promotes the same product or the same category, right? If you're a fashion brand with hundreds of products, it might be just about your t-shirt, for example, right? And so every email will sell the t-shirt category, right? And again, this is critical because this is going to reinforce that same idea, that same belief, that same conviction versus this ADHD approach, which is just diluting the sales process, okay? This is a simple thing you can start doing as quick as today. Moving on to law 11, the law of higher discounts. And this law simply states that the higher and more frequent the discounts your audience expects to receive from you. So this is the problem with treating your email marketing like a coupon dispensary machine. It just builds a cycle where people expect to receive higher and higher discounts every time. And the discounts that are already eating deep into your margins stop working. So this is basically training your audience to kill your business slowly but surely. So it's kind of like what happens when parents give their kids iPads so they stay quiet at a restaurant, right? So it works at first, yeah, but then they become addicted to it. And then parents can't leave their houses unless they have 5 fully charged iPads and batteries, right? Because that's the only way kids can be quiet. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy type of thing. And so that is why with clients, discounts, coupons, offers are completely secondary to the email marketing strategy. It's secondary. I will show you other email types that we send, specifically with Law 15. But this is something deeply rooted in how we handle email marketing, okay? Because yes, we could get away by sending discounts, but that will kill our clients' businesses. So it will be completely counterproductive to our goal. I founded ML Engineers in 2021, and one of our oldest client, an 8-figure technology brand, has been with us since December 2021. And it's because this, if we had approached their email marketing as a coupon dispensary machine, email marketing wouldn't have generated any meaningful margin to them. So our service will have been completely useless. But in the upcoming laws, I will show you exactly how to generate sales without relying on discounts or flash sales or anything like that. Related to that, we have Law 12, the law of scalability. So to scale email revenue, we have to stop relying on discounts and flash sales. But the problem with those is that they give you a quick fix, right? You send an email with a discount, and the first times they generate tons of revenue, so you get hooked to it, right? But the problem with that, and brands who do this quickly realize it, is that one good email is not the same as having good email sales, consistent email sales, which basically means you cannot scale your email marketing by adding more and more and more of these types of emails. I saw a guru who was bragging about sending one email tab, which is this one actually. This one, and it tends to send an email like this, which looks automated, and that basically says, hey, you have in credit, use it now, right? And it looks super legit. And this, of course, is just a different framing on a discount. And this can work one time. But if you send this one day and you plan on sending this the following day, guess what? It won't work. And here's what's even funnier. I have access to this actual brand's Klaviyo account, and for reasons beyond this video. And I know that this email's conversion rate was trash, was horrible. So most of these hacks that you see online do not work. And what I will tell you in a moment, the laws, these are proven to work and to scale email marketing. And to scale email marketing, you cannot rely on one single email that generates sales. It has to be consistent, it has to be a system like the one that I'm showing you. So again, this is something critical to internalize. Hacks and tricking people and basically relying on discounts and flash offers don't scale email sales. And most importantly, they don't scale email profit, which is what we're after. Okay, moving to Law 13. The law of fire. Some founders or some CMOs ask me whether they can get away by sending only campaigns or having only flows. And here's what I tell them. Campaigns are like the spark that you need to start a fire. Flows are the logs that keep that spark alive. And so what happens with campaigns is that you send a campaign and you get people hooked, right? You got their attention and you moved the sales forward. Right? Remember the awareness stages? That's what a good campaign does. And so what is going to happen is that they're going to click the campaign, and then most likely they're going to go into a product page, right? And if they buy, if they click add to cart, make it to checkout and buy, perfectly. That's what we want. But that's not often what really happens. What happens is that they will click your email, they will make it to the product page, and then they will leave. And so that is where flows enter the scene. If you have flows like the browse abandonment flow, that is going to trigger exactly when this happens, exactly when someone views a product and then leaves. And so this is going to be a whole sequence in which the goal is getting someone to buy. So those are the logs. But without this spark, you couldn't have triggered that flow. So that is why you need both campaigns and flows if you want to generate as much revenue as possible. You cannot rely on just one of them. You need both. If you have only campaigns, you only have that spark. It's very short-lived. They click your email, and if they don't buy, then nothing else happens, right? But that is actually where most people fall off. 80%, 90% of people don't buy right from the campaign. So that 80%, 90% of potential barriers are just lost. But instead, you can have only flows and send no campaigns. But no one will be going through these flows. You might have your welcome sequence, yes, and a lot of people are going through that, and it's more often than not the most profitable sequence. But that same sequence could be also be pushing people into other flows. But if you have your welcome sequence and people go through that, it's let's say 5 emails, and then they just drop off. What happens to them? We lost them, right? If we are not sending campaigns, then we essentially lost that subscriber. He's not going to receive any more campaigns. So we need that spark that campaigns create, and then we need the logs that sequences of flows provide. Mix the two, and you have the ability to generate as much revenue as possible. That is critical. So that is in case you only have campaigns or you only have flows. You need both. And if you have none of them, then, well, you have a very big to-do list, but at least you're in the right place. Moving on. Law 14, the law of leverage. To scale email sales, some opportunities are simply worth 10 times more than others. If you're running ads, you're probably familiar with this. To scale your revenue from ads, you know that you have many variables to play with. You can choose to play with the first 5 seconds of a video or the last 5 seconds of a video. But you know that the first seconds are most likely going to make the biggest impact on sales. But then you might choose to test different offers. And if you have tested this, then you might know that the right offer can generate as much as 5 times more revenue and 5 times more profit. So this simply means testing shots, not whispers. The shots are these big levers, these opportunities that will let us scale email marketing sales by 2, 3, 5 times. And it won't be because we are playing with subject lines. I have never seen at a big scale, and we have generated over $40 million in email revenue. I've never seen subject lines contribute meaningfully to email sales, at least not as much as testing shots. And shots, for example, could be testing entire emails against each other, not just the subject line of the email, but the whole email. And in that email, you can test emotional appeals, the emotion that you're appealing to rage or to anger or to excitement, appealing to different pain points, different motivations that people have, because at any point of time, the market that make up your subscribers are going to have one main motivation in mind, and that switches. It's not fixed, right? Because every single market is influenced by a lot of forces, with things that are reading, other emails, what influencers are saying, what the news are saying. And this changes over time. The offers that you test are also a big lever. I have a whole other video that breaks down exactly this topic. It's gonna be linked somewhere now. 17 different meaningful tests, meaningful variables, big levers you can test that are going to lead to big changes, like this one. In this case, we tested different offers, and the best offer generated 4 times more sales. Then we just run with it. This was a welcome offer. So this is one of those big levers. Every single person making it to your website is going to see this. And so this is a variable worth testing. It doesn't matter if you have the best subject line in your email, if you're promoting this losing offer. It won't really matter. Even if you squeeze an extra 20, 30% of sales, it won't contribute as much as testing a whole different offer. That is the point of Law 14, the law of leverage. And I recommend you go and watch that other video for knowing exactly what is worth testing and what is not. Next, we have one of my favorites, and this is 15. The law of conviction. And this means recognizing and being aware that if someone is not buying, it's not often because the price is high, but because the conviction they have in the product is low. So let me explain. Each one of us has this threshold, this barrier before we decide on buying something, right? It's a minimum level of belief that we must have in a product and in a brand before we pull the trigger. And so this zone, this is called indecision, right? And before buying anything, all of us live here. But if we want to get this sale, we have to cross this threshold. And this threshold is what I call the conviction threshold. And I first became aware of this 5 years ago. I was running my own e-commerce brand, and then out of nowhere, Meta decided to ban me. It banned my personal ad account, any single account that I touched. And so I couldn't do anything to keep scaling my e-commerce business. So I had to keep that store afloat somehow. That's when I learned about email marketing. And because I had more time on my hands that I was dedicating previously to creating ads and all of that, I could allocate all of that time into email marketing, which I had nothing. No flows, no campaigns, nothing. And so I started creating and sending campaigns, one per day, because again, I had a ton of free time. Some campaigns worked, some didn't, some generated tons of revenue, some nothing at all. And at the end of the month, I exported all that data and I put together in a spreadsheet all email campaigns. And I saw what was the common factor behind all the best performers, what all of them had in common that made them generate more revenue than the average. And what I found is that there were two forces. And if the emails had these two forces, these two elements, the campaigns were destined to generate high sales. And these two powerful forces were desire and trust. If campaigns created desire and they created trust, they basically ensured the sale. So if them got someone to want to buy the product and want to buy it now, so they created desire and they created trust. They made people feel safe buying from us, and they preferred buying from us over any of our competitors. If the emails had both, then basically with a 99% chance, the email was going to be a good performer. And so that turned email marketing into a science. To get someone to buy, emails have to stack enough trust and desire until we get is called conviction building. And over the years, I've collected over 17 ways to build trust with email and over 7 ways to build desire with emails. And so now this is basically a science. If we do this, we basically force email sales up. If your emails inject trust and inject desire, you will scale your email sales. It's inevitable. So let me show you an example we created for a client in the skincare industry. I will explain the desire building mechanism that we used and the trust building mechanisms that we used. So it goes like this. The dark truth behind the 163 billion skincare industry and how you can avoid it. Over 2,100 skincare products in the US are filled with toxic chemicals like parabens, phthalates, and other additives that improve shelf life, cost, and effectiveness. That could lead to long-term health issues, hormone disruption, skin irritation, and increased risk of cancer. The alternative, the 4 natural ingredients that have made over 4,000 women age backwards. It's healthier, more potent, and skin-friendly. Meet the 4 hand-picked ingredients in Immutable Rejuvenate Face Serum. A nice before and after photo. The natural ingredients inside Rejuvenate Face Serum. Hyaluronic acid, an acid naturally found in your skin, acts like a moisture magnet, drawing in water to keep your skin plump, smooth, and radiant. Studies show that it can increase skin hydration by up to 96%, promoting smoothness and radiance. Moisture magnet keeps skin plump and adds smoothness. Tremella mushroom, sourced from the forest of Asia, it naturally hydrates and combats fine lines, wrinkles, and dark spots, leaving your skin youthful and radiant. It has been shown to retain up to 500 times its weight in water, helping to lock in moisture and combat signs of aging. Combats fine lines, softens wrinkles, and lightens dark spots. Then we have Portulaceae oleracea, a wild succulent that is packed with antioxidants and omega-3 fatty acids, acting as a shield to protect your skin from damage and aging, while promoting a bright, youthful complexion. Studies have shown it can reduce the effect of UV damage and improve skin elasticity by up to 40%. Improved skin elasticity reduces UV damage, source of antioxidants and omega-3. And aloe vera, a cactus-like plant from hot climates, offers naturally cooling properties that soothe irritated skin while targeting fine lines, wrinkles, and dark spots for a refreshed, youthful appearance. Studies have shown it can reduce skin inflammation and redness by up to 30%, soothing and rejuvenating the skin effectively. Soothes red skin, reduces redness, combats wrinkles. These four ingredients work together to give you a serum that not only reduces the signs of aging on your skin, but also keeps you and your face healthy for the long run. Take care of your skin, use Rejuvenate. And so what I saw that the typical beauty and skincare brand email look like was just this part, right? So they just sell you the thing, they sell you the product. Hey, buy our product. It's a very selfish appeal, and that is why it doesn't work. But instead, here was our approach. And by the way, every single email that I show you in this video, that I've shown you so far, and that I will show you, these are our best performing emails. I didn't just grab any email from a huge database of thousands of emails and put it into the video. I'm intentionally showing the best performing emails. And just so you know that these strategies work, let me show you. This is normally cropped from videos, but this is the actual brand that I just showed you the email. And so in last month, these were our metrics. Conversion rates were essentially 10 times higher than the average. Well, 9 times higher than the average, right? So these laws, I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but these are not just laws which I came up with the REM method, rectal extraction method. I didn't just pull these laws out of my ass. These are the results of 5 years of observation and iteration on the same principles over and over to arrive at this. What is essentially a scientific way to scale email marketing sales. And so you can see our conversion rates are 9 times higher than the average skincare brand, and revenue per recipient is 4 times higher than the average brand. So this stuff works. So these strategies work. And if I click the detailed view, for revenue per recipient, we are in the top 22%. So not bad. I mean, we're still generating 4 times more revenue than the average. And our conversion rates, we are in the top 5% of Klaviyo accounts. So I'm not saying this to brag. I'm telling you this so you pay attention to these laws and apply them to your own brand. I want you to have absolute certainty that this works, so then you can apply it to your brand and dominate your competition. Okay? Because there are enough brands who suck at email marketing. I don't want you to be one of them. Cool, moving on. Now, first, before some nerds point out that our spam reports rate is high and unsubscribe rate is high, yeah, we don't care. This is actually a side benefit. So the more people unsubscribe, the lower our Klaviyo bill is. So we are actively pushing people to unsubscribe. And then, yeah, some people are reporting our emails as spam, but it's still manageable. And as you can see, it doesn't hurt our open rates at all. We are on par with the average. But the most important metric, which we already discussed, revenue per recipient, and even conversion rates, are as good as they can be. Okay, so as I was saying, the typical brand would send an email that just starts here, right? Now the problem with this is that people open it, and because it's a very selfish approach, they see this and they literally do not care. But instead, if they see this, they will care. Now this is in their world, because this is something they are going through at the moment. They are shopping for other skincare products. So the desired creation mechanism that we use in this email to get people to care and to get people to want to buy now is this, AM. And it means amplifying the mouse. And it comes from an advertising books from the 50s, Breakthrough Advertising, where the overall principle is that the goal of marketing shouldn't be to create better mousetraps, but instead to create bigger mices, to amplify the mouse. So essentially what we are selling here is not the product, but we're getting people to care by creating first. But we are people to care. We are creating desire by amplifying the mouse, by amplifying the problem. Hey, there's a dark truth in the 163 billion skincare industry, and here's how you can avoid it. That is how you get people to care about. If they will have received this email, then yeah, some people might have purchased. And this is the approach that the average brand follows. Here's why. Because every single guru, every single email marketing course tells you to go to a website like reallygoodemails.com and see what other brands are sending and so on. Now, the problem with that is that email features in really good emails, they are not proven to have a high conversion rate. They're just there because they look nice or because the copy is witty and funny. But we have no certainty that those are high converting emails. None at all. And so this creates a problem because every single brand is doing the same. And then what brands do is they copy their competitors. So what ends up happening is that every single brand ends up copying emails that do not work in the first place. That is why the average brand, like in this case, they just generate 8 cents per recipient. And their conversion rate is 0.03%. While we can get away with a 9 times higher conversion rate and generating 4 times more revenue from email marketing. Because if you follow the strategies that every single other brands are following, what the average brand is following, you are doomed, you are destined to be here, the average, in the median. Okay, so back to the email. That is the desire creation mechanism that we used in this email. It was amplifying the mouse. And then we used 2 trust creation mechanisms, CS, EM. CS, confirming their suspicions. People buy from people and from brands who are not afraid of calling out the BS that's in the market, who are not afraid of saying, hey, there is a problem, and who are not afraid of saying, okay, that thing that you thought was true, it's actually true. Here's why. And that is what we did here, confirming their suspicions. And then EM, explaining the mechanism. This is what we did in this second section. We broke down ingredient by ingredient in a very compelling way, so they felt compelled to read the whole email. Exactly what makes this product work over other products. And so because this is a blend of ingredients, they won't find this elsewhere, right? So they have to buy from us. That's an example of a conviction building email that worked. Moving to the Immutable Law 16. The law of fleeting opportunity. And this law simply recognizes, and this comes from observation, but also from human behavior. And it says that the moment someone joins your list is the point in which they are the hottest, the most ready to buy. And so our goal is to conviction building and stack trust and desire as soon as possible. So we win the sale. So get them over the conviction threshold. So what I've seen some brands do, and in some cases it makes sense, I'll get to that in a moment, but what most brands do is that they have their welcome flow and they send email 1 on day 1, email 2 on day 2, email 3 on day 4. And then by then, this potential customer have 4 days to go and shop from other brands, right? Because what happens now is if you're shopping for a product, Meta knows it. And you probably experienced this yourself. You're browsing a product, you see an ad on Instagram, you click it, you scroll 3 posts, and you start seeing ads for that exact same product, but from other brands. And then you see for another brand, another brand. So that is the competitive landscape now in 2025 and beyond. It's ruthless. So the sooner we create conviction, the sooner we get the sale. So one strategy that we created to help with this, it's called conviction acceleration. And in simple terms, it means having more compressed sequences, welcome sequences, checkout abandonment sequences, which are sent when someone is hottest. And sometimes we even send 2 welcome emails in the same day. Now, of course, they are very different emails. I will get to that in a moment. But the purpose is to aim to gain the sale, to convince the subscriber to buy from us rather than one of our competitors as soon as possible. This is conviction acceleration. And again, it means compressing the waiting times in your sequences, specifically for brands that sell in very competitive industries like skincare, supplements, beauty, and so on. But this can also work in high ticket as well, because the behavior is the same. One of our clients sells saunas, and we are still applying this strategy. Because yes, even though a sauna is a $5,000 purchase, they are still considering buying that sauna from other suppliers. So we have to be the first to gain the trust. And we do this with this strategy, conviction acceleration. And we do it in 2 ways. First, by having the best possible emails forward, those with a proven high conversion rate, often as a result of A/B testing different variations, and also reducing waiting times. So this is another thing you can do as fast as today that's going to guarantee you higher sales. Next, Law 17, the law of specificity. And this comes from this beautiful short book, Scientific Advertising by Claude Hawkins, another must read for any marketer, in my opinion. And specifically, it's just 1 chapter. They are 3 pages, which if you read them and you internalize them, you're going to improve your copy and your ads like nothing else. And it's on being specific. Hopkins says, platitudes and generalities roll off the human understanding like water from a duck. In other words, in email marketing, the more specific you can make your emails, the more they will resonate, the more people will buy. For example, back to this email, the 4 natural ingredients that have made over 4,000 women age backward. We didn't just say ingredients, it's natural ingredients. It's not that they have made over 4,000 women look younger. It's age backward, because look younger rolls off the human understanding like water from a duck. Every single brand is saying the same, and so it has no meaning. It is not specific. Age backwards is. Then it is not 4 ingredients, it's 4 hand-picked ingredients. It implies thoughtfulness, a method. We don't just say this hydrates your skin. We say studies have shown that it can increase skin hydration by up to 96%, promoting smoothness and radiance. This is specific. This feels real. Saying improves hydration means absolutely nothing to the human mind. Same here. We could have said it's moisturizing. Instead, we went with moisture magnet. It's a whole other game. This makes you feel and visualize this product. Okay? Same here. We didn't just say it hydrates your skin. We say it has been shown to retain up to 500 times its weight in water, helping to lock in moisture and combat signs of aging. So all of this makes the product, the ingredients, and the benefits feel real inside our customers' minds. And that is the law of specificity. And another way that you can apply this law is inside your email flows. Now, what happens most often with brands is that they have a product or a category that accounts for 70%, 80% of total sales. Yet they have these generic flows, like the typical cart abandonment sequence that says, hey, you forgot something in your cart, right? And hey, your card is about to expire. They have these sequences that are super generic. They are not specific. And so one strategy that we develop is what we call MVP flows. And this means having segmented flows for these best sellers that you have. So for example, if this face serum accounted for 80% of sales, we will have a dedicated cart abandonment sequence that will get triggered when someone leaves their cart with this product inside it. And instead of saying, hey, you forgot about your cart, because we know that they forgot about their cart, we will send conviction building emails that move them forward to buy. We know they forgot about their cart. They know they forgot about their cart. If we send a conviction building email, like the one I showed you above, using a different desire creation mechanism, different trust creation mechanism, we send that. We're still addressing the fact that they forgot about the product. If they receive that email, they will realize, okay, I forgot about completing my order. They will know it. But then we can say so much more because we can create conviction. The typical checkout abandonment email doesn't create any conviction. It's just a reminder. It doesn't move the sale forward. It's just a reminder, but keeps them exactly where they are. So with your MVP flows, you can have a welcome flow dedicated that will get triggered if someone was browsing one of your top sellers. And this will be a exclusive sequence selling that one product, because normally welcome sequences are just broad and general to the brand and the whole line of products. A dedicated checkout abandonment sequence, dedicated browse abandonment sequence. You can even have post-purchase sequence, which are tailored depending on what people bought. So that is MVP flow, something you can start doing this same week. But the principle, the law, is the law of specificity. The reason why this works so well, and we have seen MVP flows convert 3 to 4 times higher than the typical, hey, you forgot about your cart type of emails. The reason why this works so well is because these emails are more specific. So this is something to keep in mind as you are writing your emails, as in the example that I show you, but also with your flows and how they are set up. Next, law 18. The law justification. You know how we as kids, we are like hardwired to ask why, right? And for parents, it's kind of annoying, but that is the truth. We are super curious as kids, right? Hey, Dad, why is the night dark? Because there's no sun. Why? Because it went away. Why? Because the earth rotates and so it's in the opposite side. Why? Just that. And so this is something we are curious as humans. We need to understand things. We need to know our whys. And so this translates into marketing means that every single action that we do should have its why, its justification. For example, we have doubled welcome sales by having the pop-up. And then the emails that follow have sales that are justified. So for example, the typical e-commerce brand has this 10% off. Subscribe and get 10% off. It's just the offer that they have. And their emails is, hey, welcome, here's your 10% off discount. And so because that discount, that offer is just there, it has no why, we just don't internalize it. Yeah. But instead what we do is very simple. We make sure that if we are giving away a discount, it has to have a reason why. And it could be the most simple thing. For example, if it's summer, it could be a summer sale. If it's spring, it's spring sale. If it's winter, winter sale. That's like the worst case. It's still better than nothing, but it's still too broad, right? So for example, if you're having a 4th of July sale, then you probably will say that you're getting 10% off because it's a 4th of July sale. And ideally, it will be also themed around that. So this makes your discounts and your offers have more weight. They are more real. And then there's also the side benefits that you can add urgency. Because if it's a 4th of July sale, we know, we understand, and we expect it that the sale is going to end close to the 4th of July. That is why winter sales also work, but their urgency is not as high. But it's still better than nothing. So whenever you're giving away a discount, increasing your prices, lowering your prices for some reason, make sure to justify it with a believable reason why. That alone is going to increase conversion rates because it makes you more trustworthy. Next, 19, the law of framing. And this law simply recognizes that the perceived value and the intrinsic value of something are not the same. It all depends on the frame that you assign it. For example, remember when we were discussing A/B tests, I showed you that one offer led to 4 times more sales than a different offer. In essence, the discount that we were giving away was the same. And I don't recall exactly what it was, but let's say the worst performer was a 10% off. And then the best performer essentially gave away that exact same discount, but through a different frame. Let me explain. So let's say our average order value was $100. And so by giving away 10% off, we're essentially giving away $10. That is the intrinsic value. It's $10 off. It's $10 off that we do not receive, right? That we give away. It's $10 of margin that we give away. That is the intrinsic value. But that is not the perceived value. So the worst performer was the 10% off. I think the third best performer, we have something here. The third best performer was the $10 off. So essentially it's the same amount of money. But rather than saying get 10% off, we said get $10 off. That different framing changes the perception people have. What I've seen by working with hundreds of e-commerce brands is that most of them are running this get 10% off type of discount. So customers have become numb to that type of offer. They kind of expect it. They feel entitled to it. And so it doesn't get much attention. And because of that, it doesn't generate many conversions. But instead, by changing the frame, the way we present the offer, we manage to improve sales. So by saying get $10 off, we increased conversion rates. But the best offer went beyond that. And I don't recall the exact example, but I think it was get a free $10 gift card, a $10 voucher, or something around those lines. But what matters is that they change the perceived value. We're essentially giving away the exact same thing, $10 off. But the positioning of that is different. And that makes a huge difference, as much as 4 times in conversion rates. And so that is the law of framing. And you can go even further than that. Let's say you have a product that costs you $10. Your cost of goods, let's say, are $8 plus 2 for shipping. Although this will most likely get absorbed by the order, right? What you can say is get this $8 product, but with the name, of course, get this product for free. And most likely this is going to have a $30, $50, $60 price, which is 6 times better than this, right? And if it's a sexy product, something people are actually buying, it cannot be a product that no one is buying and you're just trying to get rid of. If it's a sexy product, a product people actually desire, then you will increase your conversion rates even higher, 6 times higher, for example. This is the law of framing. It is all a game of perception. Next law to increase email sales. Number 20, the law of 1. Do you remember the 10th law, the law of focus, which basically meant not having this ADHD approach to campaign? The law of 1 is very similar, but it applies to one email. There's a saying that one of the strength coaches that I used to follow, the great late Charles Poliquin, used to have. And he said, if you have one ass, you can't sit on 2 horses. He meant this talking about if you're trying to gain muscle, you shouldn't focus on losing fat, for example. So that is the law of 1, having one big objective per email. For example, selling one product per email, just doubling down on that one product, addressing just one pain point. If we were selling whitening strips, for example, when people feel like they are looking at their teeth, when people are talking with them, we wouldn't appeal to bad breath or anything like that. It will be just focusing on that one pain point. On desire, make sure you're getting you whiter teeth. One feature benefit. For example, we will double down on the fact that it has the most effective chemical and have an entire email that demonstrates and proves that. But we wouldn't try to cram all the features, for example, saying that the strip also has a strong adhesive so it doesn't peel off or something like that, right? Because the idea is that the more you try to cram into one email, the more diluted each element is. But instead, it's focusing on just one thing and doing it brilliantly. That is the law of one. Number 21, the law of demonstration. And we have heard this since we were a child. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And then as marketers, we've also heard it. Show, don't tell. So this is critical to inject an idea into someone's mind. This is Newton's third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. If you tell something, there's a reaction, a defensive force. So if you tell something, you make a claim, there's an equal objection popping up in customers' head. But instead, if you demonstrate something, if you prove something, then that just vanishes. There's no room for objections, right? That is why you have those infomercials, which are basically 30 minutes of pure demonstration. The most crazy demonstrations. It's just all about that. So every single product here, it's a demonstration of a product. If you see it being used and the results that it creates, there's no objection to be made. Now, of course, this doesn't mean this guarantees the sale, but at least it eliminates one of the objections that they have. So if you are doing conviction building and stacking these steps of trust and desire, that demonstration could be very well worth a whole step on its own. You're one step closer to getting the yes, getting someone to buy. In the skincare example that I showed you before, we had this before and after. But of course, because it's 2025 and customers have been exposed to thousands and thousands of these type of photos before, they're more sophisticated. This alone won't lead to the sale, but it's just one step closer. But whatever it is, if we can include photos or even better gifs of the product being used, the closer we're getting to the sale. The same works, for example, for stories. If I tell you this stuff works, yeah, there's an objection there. If I show you a story of someone who tells and demonstrates that this works, that's a whole nother level. There's no objection to be made. And I will show you an example of an email that does this in the next law. This is law 22 of visions. This is somewhat related to the previous. Visions reduce friction. If we can create a vision in customers' mind of exactly what happens after they buy from us, so we can create that image in their head. We can paint the outcome and show them the journey. Then we're going to make the sale much, much easier because we're adding both to the desire part and the trust part of conviction building. So for example, for this skincare brand, this is an email that read really well because it creates vision. It says 90 days to younger, brighter looking skin. Clinical studies run by Dr. Kelly show that all it takes is 90 days of using Rejuvenate to reduce wrinkles, fine lines, and brighten dark spots, leaving you with a glowing, youthful appearance. Let's find out what those 90 days look like. And then we go. Here's what happens once you start using Rejuvenate. Days 1 to 30. After just 14 days of using in Blair, most users already start seeing a younger version of themselves. Then we include a review that supports that idea. Noticeable difference after only a few days. So there are three types of reviews. that I recommend using. Those relating to outcomes, like this one. Those related to objections they had before buying but they overcame. And pain points they were suffering. These are the best three types of reviews that you can include leverage in your emails. Anyway, we continue with the email. Days 30 to 60, we explain exactly what they can expect. Days 60 to 90. Only then we include a before and after. But we first let them believe that this is possible. This makes a world of difference. And then we have a simple and straightforward call to action. Again, another great performing email because it follows the law of visions. And I even do the same with clients who join my agency, email engineers. So for context, we help the most Ambitious e-commerce brands in the high 7 to 8 figure range scale their email marketing sales. And so when they come to us, I explain them. Here's exactly what is happening after you start working with us. Here's what the day 0 will look like. We will send you an onboarding form which you can fill, and we will have all the information we need from you, your images, your assets, your logo, all of that. We will ask you some questions as well about your audience, about your products, just so we can have more context and prepare a better strategy. Then we will take all of that, we will digest it. Then we will do on our side 10 to 20 hours worth of research to understand your customer better. After we're done with that, we will schedule a call together with you to iron out some details, see if this customer avatar that we created actually represents your real avatar. And then only after that, we will start working on our emails. And I tell them, our first emails will be ready between 7 to 10 days after we start working together. So we move really fast to get you quick wins. And we will be focusing on 3 things at once. First, we will fix your list growth. So we will start testing and implementing new pop-up, because the more subscribers that we have going through your flows, the higher our email sales. Then we will start improving those flows, starting with the highest leverage ones, like the welcome sequence, the cart abandonment sequence, and the post-purchase sequence, because those make the biggest impact. We will create around 5 emails per sequences, and for each email, we will have A/B tests so we can find the actual winner, the best variation, because if we only tested subject lines, we will only get a 10 to 20% increase in sales. But if we test whole emails against each other in this welcome email number 1, for example, we can expect a 2-3 times higher revenue. So we're basically sure that every single subscriber that we get becomes a buyer. And then, of course, these new flows will have the conviction building strategy applied, so they won't rely only on discounts to get sales, but they will create desire and trust. And the same will happen to your campaign. So we will have the first emails ready in 7 to 10 days. We will send the first email that we send will be critical, because it will set the tone for all future emails that we will send. Most likely we'll do a pattern interrupt to get subscribers' attention back, and so they start reading our new emails with a fresh pair of eyes. So the results will start compounding really fast. I even give them examples of what to expect. I tell them that in February, we took a client whose email revenue was at 4%. We scaled that to 37% in only 35 days. But I tell them that is not a guarantee for you. What I guarantee is that we will follow the exact same process that we follow with them. So what I'm literally creating here is I'm creating vision. They're on a call with me and they want to make sure that they will get the results they pay for. And it's super fair. So I create a vision. Here's what happens after 7 days, 15 days. The first emails that we send to you, we're going to create 3 variations. So they will have different tones of voice. You will tell us which one you prefer. The same for the first designed emails that we send. You're going to look beautiful. Then we will run with that, start creating the rest of the emails as soon as humanly possible to get you quick wins and have a retainer pay itself in the first 7 days. I am just literally creating a vision in their minds. I'm saying, here's what is going to happen. And I do that at different levels. It's not only that I tell them what to expect after 5, 7, 10, 15, 30 days, but it's also what to expect when they join, right? And it also ties with the law of specificity. So I don't say, and you will get a copywriter assigned to you. Instead, I tell them, you will get the best email copywriter in the world working for you, because it's true, so I can get away with that. And then also the best email designer who doesn't make emails from templates where every single email is done from scratch, because that gets people's attention and so on. So it's the whole vision that I'm creating in these founders, CEOs and CMOs minds. It's the same thing that we are doing here. Visions reduce friction. So if your product doesn't naturally lends to this, you can still create a vision as to what happens after they place an order with you and reduce that uncertainty that people normally have. It can be one of your emails inside your cart abandonment sequence. It works really well that way. Or it can also be an email in your post-purchase sequence to reduce customers' complaints and so on. That is Law 22, the Law of Vision. Next, Law 23, Law of decisions. And this is something that we as marketers have read 1,000 times. We make our decisions with emotions and justify it using logic. Emotions always come first. Logic only comes after to justify that emotional decision. But this has been proven over and over again. And the funny thing is that these people who said, oh no, but I'm logical, I am a logical person. So whenever I'm buying something, I go online and I create this spreadsheet and I put together all information. It takes me 10 hours, but I am a logical person. So that is the way I do it. And that is an emotional decision. The decision to have this status of a logical person, it's an emotional decision. Could be traced back to childhood trauma, whatever it is. They don't want to be heard or they want to be perceived as cold, whatever it is. It is an emotional decision. In fact, I don't recall the specifics, but there was this study of this man who was missing that emotional part of the brain. For some reason, I think it was an accident. So he was missing this part and he was unable to make decisions. He had trouble choosing the most simple options, like what shoes to wear, for example. He was basically useless as a human being because he couldn't make any decision because he was missing that emotional part of the brain. So for example, with an email like this, we appeal to the emotional part. We are not selling the aloe vera, the hyaluronic acid. We are selling the emotion, the confidence, the peace of mind, that feeling younger and every emotion that comes with that. That is also tied to the previous law, the vision that we are trying to build. It's always emotional, which is why even with these types of email, remember I showed you near the beginning of this video, even if it's a super logical email appealing to contractors, and this is a lighting supply brand, we still try to appeal to that emotional part of the brain. Only after we can trigger that, they care about us. Or with an email like this, we always start by appealing to emotions. In this case, it's fear, the emotion that we're tapping into. But there has to be an emotion first. Because yes, we can get more logical, but that can only come after they are emotionally invested. And I recall I was supposed to show you an email on the visions part, but this email also ties to this law of decisions very well. So let me show it to you. And for context, this is going to appeal to law 21, the law of demonstrations, in the sense that this is a story that a customer is telling us, so there's no objection to be made. It also appeals to the law of vision. Someone in this audience is going to visualize themselves how good their future is going to look like with our product. And this also appeals to the law of decisions in the way that this is a very emotional email. So for context, this is for a brand that sells wigs like this, all right? And you will have to put yourselves in the shoes of someone like this, all right? This is the only way in which you can relate to an email like this. And the email goes like this. Tired of low quality hair extensions. Hey name, I got a pretty awesome story to tell you. We received a message on our Innovative Wiz Instagram account this past weekend. Goes like this. Hey, my name is Kathleen. I'm all the way from Cleveland and I just wanted to share this with you. Recently, I've been trying out a bunch of different hair extension products to help me complete my look, but it's been hard trying to find the right fit for my curly hair. I bought some extension from a pretty well-known company. I won't mention their name. It looked great in their ads, like it blended perfectly with the model's hair. I could barely see any skin wefts at all, so I placed an order with them. But when I received it, my experience wasn't really the same. I couldn't get it to blend perfectly, even though I sat in front of the mirror for hours. I could clearly see the bands sticking out, even though they were meant to be invisible. Thinking it was just me looking into it too much, I wore it out to a family gathering anyway. Horrible idea. Through the entire night, it felt like every person at the gathering was staring at me. Not to mention, every 5 seconds or so, I would sneakily pop out my iPhone, swipe to the camera, put it in selfie mode, and take a good look at my hair to try and fix it. It wasn't fun. It really soured the whole night for me. It sucks, trying to find good extensions. That night made me give up on it completely. I even emailed the company to return what I bought, but of course, they never even replied. Feeling hopeless, I just went on with my life. Fast forward a few weeks later, I was sitting in my garden, sharing a bottle of rosé with one of my girlfriends, and I told her about this experience. As I was telling her the story, she started looking at me like I was crazy. She stopped me midway through a sentence, put down her drink, whipped out her iPhone, and sent me your Instagram account. You have to check these people out. They have the best hair extensions. Of course, I didn't even want to entertain the idea. But then she told me she was wearing some of your extensions at that exact moment. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even tell she was wearing anything. And I was sitting face to face with her, like right in front of her, in the daylights, with the wind blowing her hair all over the place. I thought, what? There's no way. Her curly hair looked near perfect. She had to be lying. So that night, I started exploring your website, learning all about your Invisiroot technology and how it ensures our extensions blend perfectly with our own hair, right down to the roots. Maybe there's a chance, I thought. But after my previous experience, I was still a little bit scared, so I didn't buy anything from you just yet. It wasn't until a few days later, when I revisited your website and read about your warranty, that I decided to give your company a try as a last resort. What did I have to lose, And wow, I'm completely blown away. I haven't worn it to the public yet, but there are literally close to zero visible lines or weird looking transitions. It blends so smoothly with my hair. Just look. Flawless. I just wanted to say thank you for creating something so awesome for us. Fabulous. If you're facing the same frustration that Caitlin did trying to find the perfect extensions, give our Invisiroot extensions a try. You'll immediately feel and see the difference. XOXO, marry the Innovative Weaves team. P.S. As usual, all of our products come with a free 30-day guarantee, so you can try out any of our units risk-free. Wear them, wash them, whatever you need to. And if you don't like them, we'll send you a replacement at no extra cost. Try out our Invisiroot extensions today without any risk. So can you feel the difference? If we had just sent an email that says, your extensions will look amazing, it wouldn't have even had a tenth of the impact that an email like this had. An emotional email, and an email that created a vision that it is impossible to object. And by the way, this is a text-based emails. It might seem really long at first, but someone who's in this audience facing this same exact problem is going to read it entirely. Why? Because they want that problem solved. They probably went through this same experience this person went through, and so they are relating to every single word in this email. This is a really good example of a conviction building email, by the way. That is one of the ways this email is building desire, is by creating a vivid image, and it's also building trust through a demonstration that the product worked, mentioning and explaining how the guarantee works, although this is kind of secondary, and also understanding that we understand their problem, what they got through. A really good example, and this is the law of decisions. And on that same line, law 24 is the law of relatability. And this is related to the previous email and why it works so well. People buy from people. We've heard it 1,000 times. And so emails that come from a relatable voice, like that one example, they can hit deep into subscribers' emotions like no other designed email can. That is why we rely on text-based emails so much. They let us get away by saying things we couldn't say other way if we only send designed emails. Because designed emails have this expectation that this is a brand that is talking at me, not with me, but at me. It's not a conversation. Instead, an email like the one you just read, just from the first line, grabs you. Like you don't know what is going to happen. And so if it's properly written, which was the case for that one example, It grabs you, hooks you from the beginning, and you cannot stop reading. If you are someone in this audience suffering from this problem, which that is always the case. So the more you can make your subscribers feel this is me, they understand me, the better. The higher your conversion rates and your sales are going to be. That is why we also use another type of text-based emails. Those are called personality emails. These are more opinionated. That is the beauty of them, because they resonate with readers. Let me show you an example. This is an email we created for a retailer brand that sells aftermarket car products like exhaust and wheels and things like that. So this audience is very passionate about cars and about modifying their cars and so on. And so this is a really good example of a personality email. This one comes from the founder himself. Let's read it. Subject line: why newer models don't always win. The other day I stumbled upon this cool video about Throttle House on YouTube, where they're diving deep into a face-off between the 2024 Maserati Gran Turismo and its older 2008 counterpart. Let me explain what this caught my attention. You know how we sometimes drool over the latest car models? That was my first thought when I saw the sleek lines of the 2024 Maserati. But when they showed the older Gran Turismo, which despite being a high mileage car, it still stood proudly next to its successor, a testament to one of the prettiest designs in modern automotive history. I won't sugarcoat it though. The older Maserati has its quirks. Common issues like the cooling hose cracking due to heat or the notorious cam variation issue. But when they fired up that engine, the sound, that growl and bark was pure music. And here's the funny part, even with 16 years separating to two models, they still look eerily similar. The new one, yeah, it's sharper, but the older, it's classic charm. The interior might not be as plush, and the air conditioner might leave you wanting, but the sound, the older Maserati has it in spades. While the new Maserati sounds won't turn heads the same way, the older model, with its unmistakable growl, definitely will. So, if you're thinking of getting your hands on an older car, especially one with such charm, and are eager to give it a modern touch, you're in luck. At Brand Redacted, we got everything you need to modify and enhance your ride. Discover a huge range of aftermarket and performance car parts on our website at the best prices. John, founder of Brand. And so the only purpose of this email is to have someone relate to us. Make them feel, okay, they're one of us. They understand me. Like we agree on the same things. And so this can be the trigger that gets someone to buy from this brand over the other brand that sells the same exact car parts at probably the same prices or even cheaper prices. This can be the motivator. I would rather buy from this guy, right? And if you have seen Tony on Instagram, then you know what I mean. This guy literally is all about relatability, right? So this guy gets thousands and thousands of likes in his videos, and it's just about being relatable, right? And I'm genuinely considering buying a sign from these guys, even though I don't need one, just because of Tony, right? Now imagine if I was in the market for a sign, I will definitely buy from these guys eyes closed. That is the law of relatability. It's a powerful one, and you can leverage in your emails just as well. Next, we have 25, the law of inception. And there's a video that I want you to watch because it explains this concept perfectly. So watch that now. I'll come back later. Okay, so it's a beautiful experiment. And the takeaway of this is that we can literally incept ideas into customers' minds. We can literally modify their behavior with a few little cues here and there, as you just saw. And the beauty of this is that this is something done at the subconscious level. They won't even realize it, yet it will be happening. So let me give you an example, something we do here. If we want people to spend more money with us in our emails, rather than just featuring one bottle of the product, we will feature 3 bottles of the product. And so that alone creates the idea that they need to buy more, or that is the expected behavior. If you are selling a story with a story selling email, we can drop a hint or briefly mention that this person bought 3 bottles of the product, and what happened after was that blah blah blah. It's just a small cue, a small little detail that can make a huge difference in sales down the line. Even if this only manages to increase average order value by 10%, for a brand with $100 average order value, that is still $10. And then if the call to actions that you have in your emails lead them to a pre-selected variant that is more expensive, or if you take them straight to checkout, which you can do if you're using Shopify, you take them straight to checkout in your emails with 3 bottles of this product already added to the cart. This all adds up, and it can be just as simple as these little cues featuring 3 bottles of your products. If you're selling supplements, featuring images of your products stacked together like they are multiple, like as if they were supposed to buy multiple products from you and have all of them, right? Most likely you have reviews or testimonials with people who do exactly that. So then you can leverage those images inside of your emails. But it all starts with little changes in the way you are already creating your emails. So this is the law of inception, something you can start doing this same day. Moving on, law 26, the law of consumption. This law indicates that to get someone to consume your products and to use them forever and to become a loyal customer, they not only have to pay for your products, but they have to buy your products. It's a small little difference, yet it makes a world of difference. Because let's take this anti-aging product again as an example. The sale is not done when they pay for the product. The sale is done when they use the product and they get the benefits, and so they become a customer for life. In one case, we have a lifetime value of $70. In another case, we have a lifetime value of $700, for example. So nowadays, getting someone to pay for a product is not enough. There's so many options out there. We have to get them sold on the product, get them to buy on using the product, why it's better, why it's different, how it works. So strategically, this means that your post-purchase flows have to also resell them on the products that they just purchased. Let's keep using this example of this anti-aging product. After they buy in a post-purchase email, we can send the email that creates a vision that I showed you previously. And then we can send another email with a story, so they are emotionally invested. And then another email, which might be more logical, that digs deep into the mechanism, the exact ingredients and the combinations and even the chemistry that makes it work so well. All of this is to get them sold on the product and on using it forever. And the beauty of this is that these type of customers, these are the true loyals. Everyone talks about loyalty, and they think that just by having a loyalty point system, they're going to create loyal customers. It's a completely ass-backwards approach. Loyals buy because they trust the product, not because they are incentivized by a points system. So that is why with our clients at Email Engineers, we put so much focus into what happens after the sale. And we sometimes even focus more on the post-purchase than the pre-purchase because it's so critical. Everyone says that the money is in the lifetime value, not in the first purchase. The first purchase is the least profitable purchase of them all. Yet I see nobody talking about this in e-commerce. Nobody. Yet this is so critical. It's one of the most important factors in profitability. Get people consuming your products. And as I was telling, this creates loyal customers. And these loyal customers are the ones who actually rave about your products and recommend them to their friends because they are actually sold on the products. They believe in the product. They have conviction in the product. So this is the law of consumption. Something I wish more brands pay attention to. Moving on, Law 27, the law of morality. This is something that I didn't want to include, but I had to include it anyway. And this is very simple. If your products truly changes life, truly change people for the better, it is your moral duty to get your products on as many hands as possible. It is your duty to sell your products with emotional intensity. I say this because there are businesses, and this most often happens with product-led founders, engineers type or creators who are very good at creating products. And these products change lives, but they're not the marketing type of guys. They think that selling is something sleazy. What they are not realizing is that if their products actually change lives, it is their moral duty, whether they like it or not, to get these products on as many hands as possible. That is how it is. I don't make the rules. And one of the strategies that we use that works really well is the conviction building strategy. That, as I've shown you, is not some sleazy type of selling. It's factual. It's based on what's true, and then on taking that and creating as much conviction in people as possible to get them to buy your products, to get them sold on your products. That is the law of morality. I had to include it. It's kind of an aside to this video, but some of you needed to hear this, so consider this your sign. Law 28, the law of congruency. This is something that I wished I started doing sooner as a marketer. Because when I got started in marketing, more specifically copywriting, all of the books that I read were based on direct response marketing, on taking someone from being cold to being sold in just one ad or one funnel. And so I thought that the opposite approach, branding, was just fluff and stupid and nonsense. But being 5 years deep into the game, I recognized how wrong I was. And it's simply because I didn't understand branding. I thought it was just the colors and the logos and the feel. But it's much more than that, and it's actually quite simple. In simple terms, branding is the art of meeting your market's subconscious expectations about your brand. When you do that, you have more branding power. And when you have more branding power, you can charge more for your products. That is the beauty of it. You can get away by charging more, like luxury brands do. But you have to meet your market's subconscious expectation. It means that your brand should look and feel like how we expect it to look and feel like. Every one of us has this preconceived notion on what a type of brand is supposed to look like. Let's say if it's a luxury brand, I can show you 5 logos and you will recognize immediately which one belongs to a luxury brand. In fact, look, I don't even have to create a whole logo. Just from the typography, you can expect which one belongs to a luxury brand, right? It's something at the subconscious level. And so branding simply means meeting these expectations. We cannot have a luxury brand that uses a font like this, right? Like Comic Sans type of font. It would be ridiculous. No one will buy because we will perceive at a subconscious level something is off. Something is off, we lost immediately. We could throw away thousands of dollars to Meta, we will still get no sales because something is off. That is branding. Meeting your market's subconscious expectations about you and your brand. This includes your logo, the colors that you use, the fonts, how it feels as a whole. And so the same applies to email marketing. Your emails are supposed to feel a certain way. I mentioned that we use text-based emails a lot because we can say things that we couldn't have said otherwise if we were sending the typical designed emails. Because these emails have subconscious expectations of how emails should look and feel like and what they should say. But with text-based emails, we can get away by saying completely different things. If we send an email from the founder or the CEO or from customer support or from someone inside the warehouse, right? We can get creative with this, and these personalities can get away by saying different things, right? Something to keep in mind is the law of congruency. If your email marketing is not congruent and something is off, subscribers will notice, they will not buy. Law 29, this is the law of contrast. And this recognizes that we as humans are wired to look for contrast everywhere. The example of this image, we are drawn to that red apple. Why? This is hardwired into our brains. And so the law of contrast is super simple. Beyond just having contrast within your emails and having certain elements stand out more to draw attention, like your call to action buttons and all of that, it's also having contrast within your emails that you send. Because if you don't, and subscribers can know exactly what to expect from you, they don't even have to open your emails to look exactly how they will look like, what they will say, and so on. They won't simply open them. They will stop opening your emails. And so adding contrast makes a huge difference in keeping people engaged and opening and reading your emails. And so what we do with our clients is that we alternate between some elements. Here are a few examples. For example, alternating between text-based and designed emails. Designed emails are super pretty, text-based emails are really ugly. There's contrast that keeps things interesting. Then alternating between a positive emotional appeal and a negative emotional appeal. Because subscribers don't know what to expect, so they will keep opening your emails. It's going to keep them hooked. Then alternating between different desire creation mechanisms, like the examples that I show you, and trust creation mechanisms, like the examples like I also show you. And you can also alternate between having emotional emails, story selling emails, but more factual emails as well to keep people hooked. If every single day you say a text-based email with a review, gets all really fast. So that is the law 29, the law of contrast, to keep things interesting, keep people looking forward and opening your emails because they don't know what to expect. Next, and this is a fun one, law 30, it's the law of big dartboards. And this basically means creating a bigger dartboard for ourselves to increase the odds that our emails generate more sales. It's like going to the casino playing roulette, but 80% of the numbers are red rather than 50 and 50. It's giving ourselves house odds at winning. So let me show you some examples of how to do this with email. First, all of the email examples that I show you in this video are emails that are proven to convert above the average and way above the average, generate 2, 3, even 5 times more sales. And what all of them had in common is that they were longer than usual. So if we have more length, we simply have more room to persuade someone to say the right words or that do conviction building step by step. It's just something psychological. If you were for some reason in a jail and there's this guard and you know that somehow you can convince him to let you out, but I gave you 2 options. You can only say a sentence with 5 words. That's option A. Option B, I gave you 1,000 words. You can build a whole argument if you want. Which option would you choose? If you want to build yourself a bigger dartboard, I will assume you're going to choose option B. You have higher odds of persuading him. And that is the exact same thing that happens with email marketing. Longer emails work. If they are done well, like the examples that I show you, they are appealing to what people are actually going through, what they are experiencing, something people can relate to. People have no problem reading these emails and getting persuaded along the way. So it's the same thing that happens with product pages and sales pages. The difference between having a product page that says, buy this is cool, here are the benefits, here are the ingredients, and another that says, okay, here's all of that, but also here's why you should buy this product over these other alternatives. Here's why you specifically should buy this product. And here's why also you want to buy this now, sooner than later. And if you don't act now, here's exactly what's going to happen. It's just the same, it's human persuasion, but taken to emails. So if you want to have a bigger dartboard, increase the odds that your emails perform, consider sending longer emails, whether they are text-based or designed. As long as they are done properly, they will have a higher conversion rate. Next way is by simply sending more campaigns. The type of campaigns that I just show you, the beauty of them is that you can get away by sending those type of campaigns every single day if you wanted to, because they don't feel like sales pitches, because they are relating to customers' deep wants and motivations and fears, and it's all about emotions. And if you apply the other laws, like the law of contrast that we just gone through, you can literally get away by sending an email every single day, and subscribers will have no problem with that. I guarantee it. Finally, the same goes for flows. If you create a new flow following these same principles, and you have a conviction building cart abandonment sequence, and it's working really nice, but there's only 2 emails inside, consider adding a 3rd email, a 4th email, a 5th email. If you see that every single email starts performing using these principles, if you follow all these principles, it's impossible that these emails are not going to convert 2, 3, 5 times higher than average. It's literally what we do with all of our clients here, and what motivated me to record this video. These are proven principles. So that is another way in which you can increase your dartboard. Give yourself better odds at increasing your email revenue. Next, and this is law 31, the law of echo. And this is different from previous laws, because this is something that I don't want you doing. This is, I don't want you sending echo emails. Let me show you what echo emails are. And I left this law towards the bottom, because now, after I explain what these are and why you should avoid them, you will understand exactly what to do instead. So this is an example of the typical cart abandonment email that brands are sending. Hey, forgetting something, here's your card, finish my order, some trust icons, and then there's that. And that is what this brand is doing, leaving a ton of room for conviction building along the way. But that's not the point here. The point is that about 2 hours later, they are sending this email right here. It says, all good. Hey, looks like you had an order lined up with us, but it didn't end up coming through. We saved your order for you just in case. Complete my order. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Cheers, Raven Grant. Now, this email is essentially doing nothing to move the sales forward. It's doing nothing. It's an echo email. It's saying the exact same thing as this other email. It's just in text-based form. Some might argue that this email has the benefit of being text-based, so there's a higher likelihood that it lands in the primary or notification folders. And that is true. But why does that matter? Because even if someone reads this email, essentially they are not getting more convinced to buy as a result of it. So it doesn't really matter. The reason why people are not completing their orders is not because they forgot about it. I mean, yes, like a small percentage might have forgotten, like 10%, 15% tops. But the problem with the remainder 85% is that they have no conviction in the product yet. That is the reason why they're not buying. So a double reminder like this is going to do nothing for sales. And I'm not just saying that. I have access to this Klaviyo account, and I can confirm that this email is converting like trash. Instead, let me show you a proper cart abandonment conviction building email, what you should be sending instead. This is an example for Sigmatic. They sell coffee with adaptogens like lion's mane and other type of mushrooms that make you smarter. So keep that in mind. It goes like this. Hey, Tiro here, founder of Sigmatic. I'd like to share with you an email I received a while back. Tiro, no offense, but why would someone buy coffee from you from $20 when they could get it from Walmart for like $5? I figured you might wonder why too. Am I right? I get it. Let me explain. This is a kind of Folgers medium roast for $4.92 from Walmart. From it, you can expect stimulation, potentially an upset stomach, jitters, there's a fine line, anxiety has you thinking at the speed of a twin-turbine engine, a crash about 4 hours after you drink it, and a familiar taste, or thin cold brew ground coffee with lion's mane and chaga mushrooms costs $20. From it, you can expect stimulation, no upset stomach, zero jitters, absolutely no anxiety, no crash, and a better taste. So yes, I suppose you could say it costs more, but what's a morning kickstart without any upset stomach, jitters, or a crash worth to you? I'd say that's worth a plenty. There's a difference between cost and value. Our customers know the difference, but don't take my word for it. Take it from our 45,000 5-star reviews. Here are a few notable ones. And then it's reviews from people they know and admire. And by the way, I know I was talking about our Think product line here, but the same exact love and attention to detail is applied to every single product we sell. We aren't some giant behemoth that's forcing people to pick coffee beans for $2 an hour from a third world country. You can taste the difference. And I love to prove it to you with our money back guarantee. If you don't absolutely love anything we sell, you'll get that money right back. Just click this link right here to finish checking out. Tiro, founder of Fortnite. This is a good example of a conviction building cat abandonment email. And with a few tweaks, it's also a nice example of a MVP conviction building cat abandonment if we remove a line. But the point being is, this is going to move the sales forward, not this type of echo email, but this is building conviction, getting people to want to buy this product more. It's moving the sales forward. And again, the reason why I left this law towards the bottom is because now you can do the same. You know exactly how to create emails like this. Moving on to law 32, the law of educated indifference. This is also another law of what not to do. And I'll also let it towards the bottom because of this, because you know exactly what to do instead after I explain this. And this is something brands do very often because they hear that they need to give value and that they need to educate their subscribers. Problem with that is that people do not care about education. They don't need more information. They have plenty of information, specifically now in 2025 with ChatGPT. If they want more information, it's at their fingertips. They can literally Google it or search it in ChatGPT. They don't want more information because most email marketing courses and blog posts and videos tells you to give value, to educate. I see tons of brands who are still sending the top 5 tips to avoid sunburns, top 5 tips to stay hydrated, right? And then one of the solutions is obviously their products and so on. And that possibly worked 10 years ago, but not anymore. The problem with this, as you probably guessed by now, is that there's no emotion. There's no compelling reason for people to take action and buy as a result of that. People might think, okay, I realize it. Okay, your product probably helps me stay more hydrated. So what? Until we build the desire first, we're not moving the sale at all. That is why conviction building works so well, because it builds desire using any of the desire building methods. For example, amplifying the mouse in creating a vision could be through a story selling email, for example, on the dangers of being dehydrated. Could be a story about someone who was running a marathon and died. I don't know. But unless we do that, yes, that is an extreme case, but it's just to prove the point. Unless we do that and get people to want to buy the product now, we won't move the sales forward. No amount of education will move the sales forward. And there are plenty of emails which are not educational at all. And actually, our best performing emails are not educational at all. Like the personality emails that I show you about the Maserati. It's not educational. It's just about being relatable. So what people say that works versus what actually works is completely different. But now you know better. You know exactly the type of emails to send. Finally, Law 33. And for the most part, these immutable laws were in no particular order. And so is this one. But this is something that you can start doing the same week as well. This is the law of effort perception. And this idea came when I was listening to a guy explain why some YouTube videos worked really well and what a thumbnail made us click a video over another video. And he explained that it's about the effort perception, how much we can estimate, and this is done at a subconscious level really fast, that a creator spent creating this video versus this other video. So for example, you can have a video about the top 5 coolest things to do in China, right? And one video is just like a list, like a bullet list, right? In Google Docs. But in the other video, in the thumbnail, we can see the guy in China. He's next to a Chinese guy, so we know he's in China. This video with the guy in China, we know that he puts effort into the video. The guy is literally in China. He traveled there. So we're more likely to open and consume that video as a result of that versus this other video, which could be just a ChatGPT list, right? So that is the law of effort perception. And the same applies to email. Your subscribers feel when your emails are lazy. When you send an ugly email, an off-brand email that you didn't put much effort into it, they feel it. And so at a subconscious level, their brain won't put much attention to it. And so they won't read the word, they won't process the information, they won't get persuaded by the email. That is a critical mistake, because we can send email after email after email. We don't know what is wrong with these emails, and it's simply that the emails looked off. They looked low effort, and that is the problem. So what we do with clients is that if we are designing an email, it must be the most beautiful email ever. Sometimes our emails, like the examples I show you, look like sales pages, like product pages. They are beautiful, and it's because of that. Because when people open those emails, we want people to feel, okay, they put a lot of effort into designing this. At least I'm giving them a chance. And so they read the email, they consume the email, they digest the email, so they process it in the brain, and they get persuaded by it. The same goes with text-based emails. When they are done right, like the examples that I show you, and they're persuasive. And they don't feel persuasive, but they are at a deep level, but they keep you hooked line after line after line after line until you read the whole thing. They get digested, they get processed, and it's all because of these first few lines that hook someone in. And so that is the law of effort perception, critical, that you also implement. And so we went through a lot in this video. So if we want to download a mental map with the 33 immutable laws that we covered in this video, plus a resume of each law and how to apply it, there's going to be a link in the description of this video so you can download it. As a bonus, you'll get a video that breaks down every single law and strategy we use to take a client's email revenue from 4% to 37% in only 35 short days, generating $294,000 along the way. So the link to all of this is in the description. And as a second bonus, you'll also join my daily newsletter when I break down more strategies and insights that we are applying to our e-commerce clients, 7- and 8-figure e-commerce brands, where we are managing their Klaviyo accounts. And you're free to subscribe at any point of time if you like. So again, the link to all of that is going to be in the description, or there's going to be a QR code you can scan right now somewhere if you're watching this on a TV. I'm Matt Pirelli, founder and principal at Email Engineers, and it's been a pleasure having you today.